Good evening, everybody. This is part 2 of my personal diary. Tonight, I'm not going to be discussing anything inherently involving myself, but I will be discussing some of my opinions on certain issues circulating around social media. Forgive the lighting and background. I really don't know much about video aesthetics and what I'm supposed to be doing. My 8-year-old son probably knows much more. He told me I should be getting a different specific type of camera that I don't remember the name of. And we'll get there. We'll get there. So anyway, what I wanted to discuss tonight was something that is pretty controversial, but a lot of people don't discuss it out loud. They may write an article about it. They may publish an article about it. They may repost an article about it. What I'm talking about tonight is the big A word. That's right, abortion. I am talking about Chelsea Handler's recent article in Playboy. For those of you who have not read the article, I did post it on my Facebook page a few hours ago. She has been receiving a lot of attention from that article, from what she said. And I read the article. I read articles about the article and did my research before choosing to discuss this subject. I think that it's worth discussing because it is a woman who has come out into the open and has purposefully and very professionally said her views on abortion and also told her personal story. And she's being persecuted by a lot of people in the media for that, and a lot of people in general, not just in the media, just around the world. And I personally want to come to her defense. Not that me as one person is going to accomplish much, but this is my video diary, and this is what I'm choosing to talk about tonight. Obviously, as you may have guessed, I'm pro-choice, and a lot of people think that pro-choice means you're pro-choice when the mother's life is in danger. It's okay to have an abortion if the mother's going to die. No, that's not really being pro-choice. That's being pro-life unless the mother's going to die, and then you become pro-choice. Or you're being pro-choice but with the specifier only if the mother's health is at risk. I am not of that belief. I am 100% pro-choice, which means that whether a mother is at risk or not, she should be allowed to make the choice of whether she wants to have an elective abortion or not. To touch on Chelsea Handler's specific story, she was 16 years old when she got pregnant twice by the same boyfriend who she has referenced as someone who she should not be having sex with, especially unprotected sex with. And she came out and basically admonished her 16-year-old self for that. We've all been 16 at some point, and personally, I could not imagine having a baby at the age of 16, much less having had 2 abortions at the age of 16. I'm sure that no one is acknowledging the trauma that Chelsea Handler has gone through. Instead, they want to either point fingers at her or try to somehow brainwash her into thinking that she should start mourning for her dead children. I've read some Christian articles in that nature. Instead of either of those two, I think it's important to look at her as an individual, as a woman who chose to make a very important decision. She claims that she made the decision because she thought that she would not be a good mother. I have read some views that say that you never know if you're going to be a good mother until you have your children. And in a sense, that's true. No one knows what it's like to raise a child until they have a child. However, if I'm 16 years old and I'm pretty naive about the world and I don't have any support, I don't have any financial means, I don't have a place to live, I don't have the wherewithal to raise a child, I would consider myself pretty uneducated when it comes to my ability to parent. Even if I disagreed with her, though, however, she has the right to feel that way. Even if I said, no matter what, Chelsea, you would have been an excellent parent once you saw that newborn for the first time. That's really not my right to say that. She has every right to view herself in whatever light she believes she should be viewed in. As a 16-year-old girl, if she chose to view herself as a potential bad parent, it's not up to me or anyone else to tell her otherwise. She then went on to say that she made a responsible decision. I also agree with that. I believe that she made a decision that she is entitled to make as a female. I do not think that men or women who are in positions of power should be able to decide whether or not I or any other woman is able to have an abortion. I believe that we should be able to have the access to more Planned Parenthood clinics or other clinics where doctors provide safe abortions. In the state of Louisiana, you will not find an OBGYN, at least not in this parish, that will provide you with an abortion. If you look at the number of Planned Parenthood centers demographically, the South has a predominantly low percentage of them compared to other states. It's really a sad thing when you think about it, because no matter what, there are women who will abort their child. And if they aren't going to do it in a safe place because there is no access, how are they going to do it? Very dangerously for themselves, and could lead to a lot of complications, including death from infection, because it's not done in a sterile environment. I wanted to bring up the picture that was associated with the article, which is pretty shocking to a lot of people, I'm sure. And it's a picture of a woman sticking out her middle finger, nice pink polished nails with a pink bow around them and a little sign that says, what did it say? Expecting an abortion or something like that, instead of this is a girl, this is an abortion, whatever. It was pretty out there, and I can understand why some people would think that that's pretty bad. But I don't view it that way. I think that a lot of women are given justification as women when they choose to have a baby when they get pregnant. If a woman chooses not to have a baby when she gets pregnant, I believe that she is looked upon as less than. I don't believe that she's looked upon as a woman with the same qualities, with the same attributes as the woman next to her who may have gotten pregnant at the same time but chose to carry through with her pregnancy. A lot of women who do carry on with their pregnancies have baby showers, and I was one of them. I had a baby shower for my son. I'm not saying that I'm against baby showers. I'm not saying I'm against people who want to have babies or who choose to go through with their pregnancies. However, for those who don't wish to celebrate their pregnancy, I think that they are still worthy as human beings, as women. They still have all of the same qualities and attributes that they had before. But they're not going to celebrate anything, and that's okay. It's really not up to me, not up to you, to decide whether a woman should terminate her pregnancy. Another issue is that a lot of women who are pressured, whether financially because they can't afford it, religiously, or by their family, or by their own guilt, and their own mindset to have a baby without proper means to do so, are bringing a life into the world that they may not be able to care for. You can use the argument that yes, a woman could always give her baby up for adoption. Therefore, it would have a good life with a deserving family. But a lot of women, when they see their babies for the first time in the hospital, may not choose to give their baby up for adoption, even if they are very poor, even if they don't have the means to take care of that child. And I think that that's their decision. No one should be forced into an adoption. Anyone that has a baby has the right to have that baby. But you have to think about the social ramifications of this. There are a lot of people out there who think very conservatively that there are a lot of social programs that don't deserve social funding. Programs that would help the poor and the needy and children. Welfare, such as Medicaid, La CHIP, which is Louisiana's version of Medicaid for children and families. SNAP benefits and other food stamps. A lot of people think that that's giving away our tax dollars to those who don't deserve it. In the same vein, however, they think that a mother who becomes pregnant and who is destitute should have that baby no matter what. If they think it through, though, what they are doing is saying it's okay to have a baby and put another poor child into the system that they don't want to pay for. They don't want to support that child with their tax dollars. They condemn that child with possible stereotypes such as racism. And yet they expect anything and everything from the mother. If the mother can't provide for the child, she's automatically convicted for that. If a mother chooses to have an abortion because she can't provide for the child, she's also automatically convicted for that. So you can't have your cake and eat it too. You have to choose what you believe in and stand by that choice. And when you do make a decision, think about the long-term social ramifications. If a woman chooses to carry a baby to term, that is a child that has to be taken care of, a mouth that has to be fed, clothes that have to be bought, school supplies. The list goes on and on until the child is 18. A lot of people haven't seen what I've seen. I could make a whole other video about that. But until you have, you don't understand what it's like for a child to grow up in poverty. Maybe some of you have and have that understanding. I personally did not. However, I have seen it with my own experience, with my own two eyes as a social worker. And I am forever grateful that I've had that experience because it has shown me a part of the world that I never knew existed. And it has framed the social and political framework that I believe in today. I guess in closing, I just wanted to say that as Chelsea Handler said in the article, Roe v. Wade isn't going anywhere. We had the, I believe, 43rd anniversary of Roe v. Wade recently. Instead of trying to religiously convert these women into not having abortions, instead of taking away Planned Parenthood funding, which, by the way, does much more than just provide abortions. That's a very uneducated view of Planned Parenthood. Instead of convicting in your mind a woman as a killer who decides to have an abortion, try supporting that woman. Try thinking about things from her point of view. How must she feel, especially if she's underage? How must she feel if she knows that she can't support this child? If she's going to be condemned no matter what, whether she supports the child with no money and the child doesn't have shoes, or whether she chooses to abort that child. No one thinks about the mental health of the mother. They consider the physical health, such as if the mother's health is at risk, it's okay to have an abortion. What about the mental health? What about a woman that can't mentally handle going through a pregnancy, especially an underage female, a teenager who's not mature? The frontal lobe of the brain, which controls rational thought, isn't mature until your early 20s. I'm not saying that someone in their early 20s isn't capable of being a mother. However, that's something to consider when you consider the mental health of the woman who's pregnant. I'm a mental health advocate. It's obvious. And I choose to look at that in addition to physical health ramifications. If a woman becomes depressed and suicidal because she's pregnant and she wants to have an abortion, but she can't, what's more important? Whose life are you judging at that point? The mother who wants to kill herself, or the child that isn't born? What would you do if it were you? What would you do if it were your daughter who was depressed and suicidal because she did not want this baby? Roe v. Wade's not going anywhere. There are a lot of people trying to get rid of it. They have tried and they have failed. And they have been unsuccessful. Another thing, and this is the last thing I'm going to say, is that a lot of women, you may assume, regret having abortions. If you read the article, Chelsea Handler says she has not looked back one day and regretted her decision to have aborted her pregnancies. She has not looked back with regret on the children that could have been. It is an assumption made by a lot of Catholics, and I would know that because I was one and went to Catholic school, and perhaps Christians in general, although I don't want to stereotype, but I am going by what I have read, that the woman will regret this forever, that it will scar her, that it will cause depression for her as an adult, that she will never be the same, that she will live this horrible, guilty life of depression and sadness. That's simply an assumption that's not true. A lot of women feel that they made the best choice for themselves at the time and then go on to have families of their choosing when they're older, whether they get pregnant by accident or not, whether they feel like they can have a family or not, whatever their reason is for having a family. Many go on to have families and they're happy. Unless you've interviewed and done an empirical study on every woman or a large group of women that would represent our population to see what their opinions are post-abortion about whether they regret it or not, I would not fall under the assumption that they do. It is quite possible that they feel liberated, that they feel happy, that they feel independent, that they feel strong, and that they have taken their life back. And if you think that they are undeserving of any of that because they have had an abortion, then I'm sorry, but I have to disagree with you. I'm going to leave it at that. And with that, everyone, have a great night.